I walk in the theater, it ain't nothing but pink. And I'm talking about the skin tone and the outfit.
White women's Wakanda. This stay Black Panther, man. We gotta, we just gotta call it out.
This stay Black Panther, bro. You know what? I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
I'm happy for my sisters, too.
Yeah, for my sisters. Right.
I remember I walked in and literally, as the movie was about to start, the girl next to me, she grabs her friend. She goes, I'm getting chills. She said, I'm getting chills. I'm so scared.
I'm happy for them. I am happy for them. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I was like, okay. Hey, this is Zoe.
And this is Kai.
And we are
more than a film.
We're more than just a film.
We're more than a film, more than a film.
More than a film. Where we have serious
and unserious
conversations about film
and other things. Okay, I'm not going to be negative, Nancy. Even though that's what my notes are, definitely.
All right, so today we're talking about the Barbie movie. I'm Zoe.
And I'm Kai.
We're getting into Barbie.
Yes.
So, did you go opening weekend?
Yes. Yeah, I went opening weekend on Saturday. That Saturday after it got released, 9 a.m. with my grandmother, my mother, and my auntie.
So how was
all
that?
Above 40.
How was that experience? Set the scene for me.
So my grandma fell asleep, was snoring for sure.
Embarrassing.
Snoring. She was snoring. I think my mom fell asleep too. I think my auntie, she was up, but she was like, I'm not wearing pink. She put on her shirt that said "Be Fearless." It had a little black girl with the afro on the back, and it was brown and black. And she was like, I don't wear pink. That's not me.
She said, I came for Issa.
Yeah, I came for the president. That's another conversation. But we went at 9 a.m. and it was fairly, but we went in. So it was fairly, that's the first movie of the day. So the theater's still opening up. But it was a good amount of people in there, but it was mostly white women in their pink, yeah. Mm-hmm. So it was an interesting experience. And then after we saw the movie, we went to lunch, and they argued, it was all the shit, all the mother shit. So, but that's just how moms and daughters be. So it was that type of thing. Me and my mom even argued after we left the movie theater because I was trying to get into why I felt like Barbie. I was trying to get into why I felt like Barbie was ineffective for me personally, and she was like,
"You watch a damn movie."
Yeah, that's what she was like. She was like, "But that's not Greta Gerwig. You know what she came to do, and that's not." And I was trying to get into my shit. So me and my mom even got into it after we left. So that was an interesting experience. But yes, my grandmother was asleep right next to me the whole time.
That's embarrassing. One thing about grandmas, they gonna embarrass you.
She just wasn't into it. Like, she just told me she wasn't into it. I did want to know what her thoughts would have been, though. Like, if she would have watched the whole thing. Like, I was excited to know what her thoughts would have been, especially because, my grandma is still married. She's been married for 50 plus years to my grandfather. And we talk about how that has sort of how her experience as a woman and her experience through that. And she always tell me, like, what I'm saying, like, find yourself, don't get married too young, and if you do, you will, lose something. So, don't get married too young. But also, don't be afraid to, like, know what love is, So I did want to know what her thoughts would have been, because especially in the beginning of the movie, with, Barbie doing the same thing every day and, just this, like, stereotypical. But I really think she fell asleep because she wasn't interested in it, and then the question becomes why, So, yeah.
Good. I wish my experience was that good. I just went to the movies by myself. I went about a week after the movie came out, and I went on a Thursday, and the theater was still packed out. It was really sold out. First of all, it was literally God, because I bought the last ticket in the theater. I walk in the theater, it ain't nothing but pink. And I'm talking about the skin tone and the outfit.
White women's Wakanda. This stay Black Panther, man. We gotta, we just gotta call it out.
This stay Black Panther, bro. You know what? I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
I'm happy for my sisters, too.
Yeah, for my sisters. Right.
I remember I walked in, and literally, as the movie was about to start, the girl next to me, she grabs her friend. She goes, I'm getting chills. She said, I'm getting chills. I'm so scared.
I'm happy for them. I am happy for them. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I was like, okay.
Now I'm getting chills. That's funny.
It was a good movie. I mean, I personally enjoyed the movie. So,
it was fun.
Yeah. It was
fun.
Yeah,
it was fun.
And bring back fun. I feel like movies nowadays be too heavy. Like, that's a movie I can watch, and I don't have to mentally prepare myself to watch it. I can just watch it, you know. But at the end of the day, I did cry at the end of the movie. So maybe.
I mean, it was objectively a good movie. Like, in terms of, like, if you want to put movies in that way, like, it was objectively a good movie because it was entertaining. It had a theme, which it spoke to, but didn't necessarily preach. And it was overall fun to watch, even though I had my problems with it, like in terms of effect that it had on me and just like identity things. Like, I feel like when I watched it, I did have fun watching it, you know what I'm saying? But in my opinion, for it to be a movie of that size, like, this is the biggest movie that we've seen post-COVID,
for sure.
Pre-COVID, maybe, you know what I'm saying? But like, It had the reach. It had the reach.
And I also want to preface this by saying I love Greta Gerwig. I'm a Lady Bird stan. I love that movie. I feel like that movie really changed something in me. I felt different after watching it. I was like, this is my movie. Like, oh my God. So I love Greta Gerwig. So she really can't do no wrong in my eyes, period.
Yeah, so we're gonna be going a little head to head a little bit. On this one per se, but I think that she is a good filmmaker.
So I think I want to start off with how the movie started off. So we see her getting dressed every day, going through Barbie Land, you know, happy, saying what's up to her friends, and then all of a sudden she's like, do you ever think about dying? And that just reminded me, that whole opening sequence, I wrote it in my notes. I was like, this reminds me of middle school. Because it's like you go through life and you be so la-di-da-da-da. And then one day you be like depressed.
That's fuck.
You be depressed. You be thinking about dying, and then you feel like you're not the same as your friends, and you
wearing
feel
the same
like
jacket every day.
Exactly. We're the same. Why do we all wear the same jacket? Why do we never take the jacket off? It don't matter. It don't matter what the weather was.
That jacket was on my skin.
The jacket was on. It was also, I think, because I was going through, I just had started puberty, and like I sweat a lot. That's why I wear black a lot. But I used to get really bad sweat stains. So I used to wear my jacket just to cover my sweat stains, because I remember one time someone called me was like, you're sweating. I was like, damn.
Well, bitch, stay on my business.
Right.
You're sweating is crazy.
Why are you sweating?
Like, oh my God, my bad. Like,
right. You know how middle school. I mean, that's a light day.
Yeah, that's easy. Sweating? Okay, my bad. You know, you can move past that. Some shit. Yeah.
But yeah, it just reminded me of middle school, like how all the girls were, all together, unity, boom, boom, boom. And then all of a sudden you just be like, dang, like I'm depressed. And then too, how she had to go see Weird Barbie, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, like, you're gonna go see Weird Barbie, like, and just that fear of being the weird kid. Like, in middle school, I never wanted to be considered weird, or I mean, that's why I wear my jacket every day. Like, I never wanted to be considered different or out of the ordinary. I wanted to be just like everybody else, happy, smiling, in girlhood, you know?
Yeah, that's true. But a part of girlhood is depression. I remember, like, there was literally one time, I think it was, I was very depressed, I think, through, like, 7th and 8th grade. And, like, my parents were literally like, I don't know, what's going on with you? And I remember my dad, like, he literally told me, he was like, you know, and this is going to be a good conversation, but he was like, no one likes someone, like, no one wants to be around someone who's, like, depressed all the time. And it's like, okay, what is that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
my bad. Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna turn
Like,
it off now.
I'm going to turn it off. I'm sorry. Like,
Right.
no one wants to be around me. I'm so sorry. You know what I'm saying? And then, like, I would always, you know, I would always wear my same, I remember what the jacket was, too. It was blue with white, with a white zipper and the white little strings. And I just used to wear it with everything. My hair, I felt like my hair was never doing what I wanted it to do.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And it would never do what I wanted to do. So it was like my hair was a mess. I just wasn't taking care of myself. And because it was like, why? You know what I'm saying? Because whenever I would try, like, it just wouldn't.
Yeah.
I felt like it wouldn't, you know, do anything. So I don't know. It was girlhood definitely is depression, and you kind of spend, and this is what I do like about Barbie, so you spend a lot of time trying to get out. Like, I spent my whole, like, childhood trying to get out, trying to finally have some agency about my life, myself. Like, you know what I'm saying? I started to find it around 10th and 11th grade. That's when that agency started to come, and it just continued to come. But it was always, how do I get out? How do I get out? How do I get out? Kind of, you know, similar to, you know, Barbie trying to get out this Barbie land, and it was always trying to escape. So,
yeah. So they get out of Barbie land, and Ken goes with them. And she got to figure out, because she's depressed. Barbie is depressed because the person that is playing with her is depressed. And she finds out that the person that's playing with her is actually a mom. Well, she thinks it's a daughter, but she actually finds out that it's the mom. And I don't know, that in general just hit me. Because I was like, you can always imagine a girl being depressed. You can always imagine a 12-year-old, hormones, things like that. But I just couldn't imagine a mom being depressed. You know? It's like, okay, it's like, of course I can imagine it. You know? Even there's been times, like, I remember when I was back in my depression phase. I don't want to call it a phase, but, like, back when I was depressed, my mom was like, everybody gets depressed. Like, I be depressed.
Same thing, yeah.
And I was like, okay, whatever, mom. Like, you don't really be depressed like me. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, she be depressed probably. She just finds a different way to cope or a different way to deal with it. And that dehumanization of your mom, like, not even giving her the space or looking at her as a person that could be depressed, that kind of made me feel a little bad. It made me be like, dang, like, I feel like when you become a mom, and they discuss this too, you don't get to ever be the center of things again, in a way. Like, I feel like a lot of moms be like, oh, my son is my world, da-da-da-da. I'm my world right now. Like, I wouldn't say that I love my family, but they're not my whole world. They're not who I live and breathe by. Like, if I think about it, like, maybe this is selfish of me. But, yeah, I'm my world. I'm the center of my world. But I don't think a lot of moms would say that about themselves. I think they would say, like, their kids are the center of their universe. And seeing how Barbie is kind of the center of her universe, and she's just a young single woman, no kids, and that's like the center. But you could never imagine a mom, like, even the pregnant Barbie, like, they was like, we don't talk about her, you know what I'm saying? Like, once you become in a way, moms are here to help their kids and guide them through life, so you can say that they serve them in a way. But I'm not calling moms like servants, you know? But once you become like a servant to someone else, you're now like not seen as a full entity of something, if that makes sense. Like, that's what I got out of the Barbie movie. What do you think?
Me and my mom, we go like, the thing is, I try to understand, you know what I'm saying? But I know I would never understand until I have my own child, my own daughter, you know? But I know that, like, you know, okay, like, especially with brothers, like, she vents to me about how my brothers, like, don't help her enough, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, different things like that. So it's like, you know, I sort of know, like, I understand the plight. You know what I'm saying? I understand, like, you know, the depression and the weight that you, like, you know, are going through. But I'm not feeling it because I still have this, like, sort of image of her, like you said, that is divorced from who she actually is as a person, as, you know, someone outside of my mom. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm like, okay, why you not doing this? Even if you're saying this, why you not doing this? Why you not doing that? It's this blame that's, like, constantly, like, there, you know, and then you start blaming yourself. I was actually just thinking about this last week. It was like, I had this sort of anger inside of me about my, like, you know, my, how I grew up, I guess. Like, you know, in terms of, like, I have this anger inside of me about my mom's relationship with my brothers versus, like, my relationship with my mom, you know? And I think that whenever I feel that anger, I know that that's not a good thing to feel. It's not a productive thing to feel. So I start blaming myself, but I can't stop feeling it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's something in me, but it's something in me that's angry, but it's also something in me that feels bad for being angry, you know? So, and you think about it, like, I feel like if I'm mad at my mom, something bad is gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, that's just not something that should happen, you know, because, you know, I'm a part of her. Like, you know, I saw this, like, thing actually where it's like, you're a part of your mom her whole life, because mothers are born with all their eggs. So, like, you have always been her child. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you're a part of her more than anyone. You know what I'm saying? You're a product of her. So to be mad at someone who, you know, who may have not gotten everything right, but did their best, you know, it creates a sort of shame in me. And I don't necessarily know if that was the question, but, like, you know, it was, but, like, what Barbie didn't necessarily make me think about that in a way, because
what did it
I'm
make
not
you think
sure
about?
it made me think about the lack of, I think I left very intrigued about Ken's storyline in terms of, like, you know, I think Greta Gerwig and the whole Barbie movie really laid out how the patriarchy is, like, created, and, like, that how toxic masculinity affects men and women, you know. So I left there, like, you know, really thinking about that, like, but I also left thinking about the lack of conversation about, like, you know, of intersectionality, like, you know, and I think that was my main takeaway. And I hate that that's my main takeaway. Like, honestly, I had fun while watching the movie, but I kind of wanted something at the end where it wasn't just, okay, patriarchy is dead. Okay. Like, I was kind of thinking, like, what's next? You know what I'm saying? So it was like, that was more so my experience. Even though I enjoyed it throughout, I was always waiting for another layer to come, you know? And I think that, you know, even though it was a good, fun movie, that's still what I was thinking about. Yeah, but it really did lay out how all that shit happens, though. Like, you know, from Ken going to the real world and seeing himself in this, like, sort of created lie and then bringing it back and then feeling pride in it. And then it all being a source of him just not knowing who he is outside of Barbie. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's the same shit. Just how we were saying, we're always a part of our moms. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, men are always they're still this product of, like, you know, of women, and it's like, it's just this sort of, like, I think there's this anger there of, like, you know, and that when it's this anger and not knowing like who they are like without it, so they turn to like violence and like, you know, all the other shit, horses. Yeah.
You know what's so crazy? Because that made me think about this girl on TikTok. She was talking about how the Ken situation. Okay, basically there's this trend on TikTok where people are kind of like thinking about the Ken situation and how they grew up and had like a childhood male best friend and how that best friend kind of turned on them or turned into every other type of boy, or they had a brother or something like that. And this girl on TikTok was talking about how the Ken situation is kind of like how boys grow up with their mom. Their mom is the center of the universe. Their mom is the leader usually because they're the ones that take over the house where you can really raise the boys. But so they think that they kind of grow up in a matriarchy and then they go out into the real world and it's like, a patriarchy. No, and then they're mad at the mom because they're like, you lied to me. Like, you're actually not in control. And it's like, really, I'm supposed to be in control. And they kind of turn on the mom. I was like, damn, that's crazy. I do have a brother, but we didn't grow up together. So I've never really seen that in real time. But like, have you seen anything like that?
No, actually, I haven't. And I think about why, because I don't, no. Like, I would not say my brother's, like, turned on my mom. Like, you know, like, I wouldn't even say that because, you know, sons are still like, oh, okay, that's my mama. Like, I'm gonna protect her. That's my mama. Like, ain't nobody saying this shit about my mama. Like, you know, and even the men, like, me and Zoe talk about this a lot, like, the men that I even, like, romantically involve myself are usually, like, you know, kind of just, like, wouldn't turn, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're just, you wouldn't think that of them, you know what I'm saying? You would kind of think of them as more, you know, they're mama's boys that didn't turn, basically. So, but I feel like there have been times where I go back to that blame of where it's like, you know, if you don't do this for me, then you hate me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not doing this for me, then you not on my side. So maybe it is a sort of turn, and I just haven't looked at it in that way. But I also feel myself sort of feeling that sometimes in terms of, like, you know, it's not, of course, in the same way as my brothers, because, like I said, I see my mom in a different way because I'm her daughter. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's not necessarily the same, but it's still this, like, sort of responsibility that we place on mothers to be this world that can never, like, sort of, like, break. Like, you know, are always have to live up to that. So maybe that is men's, like, perception of women. Like, you know, I feel like it all still ties back in together, you know?
Yeah. And I feel like it goes into relationships, too, because, like, you know, when you disappoint a guy, but you didn't do anything but be yourself, but you being yourself has disappointed him in a way. Like, you're not the image of, like you have, like, I remember my ex got mad at me because I didn't do something that he told me to do. And he was like, I didn't even consider it. Like, I just didn't do it at all. And he was just like, I don't like that you didn't even consider what I wanted, like, what you wanted me to do. And this is like,
it's like, I'm my own person.
Exactly. It's like, I'm my own person and I don't need to consider what you want. I mean, you know, I do it most of the time, but at the end of the time, it's not a betrayal against you.
It's not a betrayal. And that's where it gets, because it gets to where, like you were saying, it's like, if you're not this way for me, like, you know what I'm saying, then it's a betrayal. Like, you know, so, yeah.
So, also, too, let's talk about, because the Kens were very feminine.
They were.
The Kens were giving. All the Kens had a little sugar in their tank, okay? So I thought
that's men's true.
That's men. Like,
that's men's true.
Let's be real.
Let's be real.
Every girl has questioned a man's sexuality. Like,
and I think that's a good thing because it's like, then he's not giving in to this expectation that, you know, he got to be this way. He got to be this way to be a man. I'm a man because I'm this. I'm a man because I lift weights and I yell at my woman. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so if you questioning it, then you know he not too far gone. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you want them to be comfortable around you, because then it ends up being like, okay, if they're not comfortable, then what is that uncomfort turn into? Like, that's what Barbie really made me think about. You know? But then it's like, I'm not here to just be a man's, like, you know, comfort place. But it's like,
damn, you said don't get too comfortable now.
You know, but also, but it's an interesting conversation because, you know, I love you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I love you. Like, I feel love for you. And I can, and this gets into kind of the definition of womanism too, where Alice Walker, she said, like, in the definition, she specifically says that, you know, people who practice womanism, they can't. Let me pull up my notes because I want to say this right. I don't want to fuck this up.
We got the notes. We're prepared and we're ready.
She says, a woman who loves other women, sexually or non-sexually, appreciates and prefers women's culture, women's emotional flexibility, values tears as natural balance of laughter and strength, and sometimes loves individual men, sexually or non-sexually, and committed to survival. So it's not this sort of I can't love a man. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, you know, it gets weird because it's like you love a man, but you don't love men. Period. You know, like, and it makes perfect sense. Yeah, exactly. And it makes perfect sense. But, you know, it's like, I love you. And I've talked, like, in my relationship, this has kind of gotten, like, I've had conversations about this in terms of, like, some stuff you're doing, like, I know, like, I am wired to believe that you trying to, like, you know what I'm saying? Are you trying to control me? Like, I guess I am able to love individual men. I'm able to love my brothers and love my dad, love my uncles, you know what I'm saying? But I don't love men.
I think too, it's just like being in a relationship in the world, knowing that the way the world sees you in that relationship is that they think that you belong to that guy. You know what I'm saying?
That's really what it is. That's really what it is.
Cause like even like the way, like, you know, he'd be like, oh, that's your girl. Oh, that's you. Like, oh, not my woman.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
It's all so possessive.
Like, yeah. So sometimes, especially like, I feel like when you look good, like when you go on a date and you look good and your hair done and your makeup done and your man is just holding you a little tighter, it's like, because you know he feels like he's proud to be with you, you know. And I'm not saying like, oh, he's objectifying you, but you know that there's a certain status of being with a girl that looks good. And the status comes with the notion or the underlying idea that patriarchy has instilled with us that if you're in a relationship with a girl, you own her, basically. And that's really hard to get away from. Even if in your personal relationship, y'all don't feel like that. Like, y'all feel like y'all equals.
Know, exactly.
You know?
The line of thought will still be, like, you know, in your head. And it's like, it's hard, you know?
Yeah. And I feel like, too, it's also why girls be so, like, catering to their man or feeling like they don't want to lose their man because no girl feels like they have like, of course, now I'd be like, nah, my nigga, like, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I know I don't have possession over him. I know that at the end of the day, out of the two of us, he will always have more autonomy to do things when we're in a relationship. I mean, not saying
out in the world,
basically. Not saying like, because even, for example, and this even goes down to the biological clock, like a guy can get someone pregnant at 80, but a girl only has a limited amount of time to like make a baby. You know what I'm saying? So that autonomy to even leave a relationship and not have to worry about, oh, I have this biological clock ticking. When am I going to get married? When am I going to have kids?
Yeah.
That type of thing. It kind of chains you. That word's very, very descriptive. But yeah, it kind of chains you to a man a lot more than a man to a woman. Which is crazy. It sucks.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to see the opposite, because Ken kind of felt like he belonged to Barbie. And all the Kens kind of, because even the girl was like, you have to go and get your Ken. Like, that belongs to you, basically. Like, it was the opposite in a way. But it's also because they didn't have the burden of being able to have kids.
Oh, in Barbie Land?
Yeah.
That's true. They didn't have, yeah. And I feel, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. Okay, so my critique about the thing would be, Barbie movie would be that I feel like they should have touched a lot more on the mother-daughter relationships and the relationship dynamics between men and women that aren't about, it was just like the feminism part of it as a whole was a little too, like, it was a little corny. It was.
Yeah, the white feminist agenda.
It was.
It was corny. I didn't leave there with a message. Like, I
left with a message though.
Okay, I mean on the feminist part. Like,
but
you left with the feminist part?
I didn't leave with like girl power. I didn't leave with that type of
that's
message.
what I meant. Like, I didn't leave with nothing like pertaining to that. I feel like the ending kind of I didn't really know.
But also, too, I feel like there was two competing ideas. I feel like there was a story Greta wanted to tell and the story that the studios wanted to incorporate. Because I can even tell, like, the Mattel guy at the end, how the Mattel CEO was going after Barbie and trying to put Barbie in a box. And then at like, closer to the end, he's like, oh, I'm just trying to help Barbie because I want to save women's dreams. Like, I can tell that was the studio being like, okay, y'all just not finna shit on Mattel for an hour. Like, y'all got to add something positive about the Mattel Corporation in the whole as we're funding this movie, you know? And I think that the movie that Greta probably wanted to make was more about relationship dynamics and less about overall feminism. And the movie that the studios wanted to make was more of a girl power type of movie. This is all assumptions, though. Because I've seen the competing, like, themes going on. And it didn't seem like it all, like, I feel like nothing was fully fleshed out in a way that it could have been. So, yeah. Because I feel like those ending lines, like, when old girl said, mom still stand still, so that their daughters can go out and, I don't know what the line was exactly, but that line, like, that hit me for real. It hit me because low-key, like, my mom had me young, like, not super young, but she had me, like, 23. Like, I low-key ruined her life in a way. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was doing a lot. She was going to college, and she was doing a lot. And having me was low-key a burden. I mean, she got through it. Her life ain't bad. Like, shout out to my mom. She got a good life. Wow. Queen. But it could have been different, you know, if she didn't have me. Probably could have been better.
That's a crazy thought, though. Like, that's not a crazy thought, but that's a I feel like that's a burden on you as well. Like, you know what I'm saying? To think about, like, oh, it could have been better without me. Like, her life could have been better without me. I feel like it's truth. But what I'm saying is, like, it goes back to what I was saying, where it was like, you have this anger inside of you, but also the shame for having anger inside of you. So it's like this sort of, like, you know, I mean, because it's true. Like, you know, your moms do sort of have to stand still because you become their world. But me personally, I don't necessarily know if that's, I know that I feel like that's just like love. Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like even without the society, I feel like the societal, I can't think of the word, but I feel like society makes it worse. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like, even if society wasn't bearing down on your mom to just be a mom, you would still be her world. You know what I'm saying? Because you're her child, because you came from her. You know what I'm saying? And it's not, and so it's just, I don't know where that thought goes, but
this is, society also, like the fact that we don't have paid maternity leave and we don't have structures and systems in place to help moms. I would have loved if they touched on things like that in the movie and talked about how the world is not, I wish I would have talked more about how the world is not set up for women to be women throughout the course of their life. I feel like the world is only has a place for girls and wives, but not like fully fledged out women.
Well, what's a fully fledged, like when you say fully fledged out women, like what?
Like a mom who, like a single mom, I guess. I mean, you don't have to be a single mom, but just like a mom who can figure out a way to balance work, balance being a mother, and also like have a village to help them, have laws in place to help them not have to work twice as hard to get somewhere and get. I wish they would have touched on that more, like paid maternity leave, like things like that.
Yeah, they didn't touch on any. They didn't really. They didn't. Yeah.
Oh, also another thing that I didn't like. Love you, Greta, but I didn't like this. Like you were saying, the feminism, the idea of feminism in that movie was very, very one way, because the big red flag in that movie was desirability. And they did not touch on that.
They didn't touch on desirability at all. Because they didn't touch on it, because if they would have touched on it, then they would have had to acknowledge, like, you know, why it's even a thing. You know what I'm saying? So I think they kind of just avoided it, and it was like, okay, like everybody's Barbie, which is, I mean, true to what Barbie as a brand actually is. And in the end, this movie was a big advertisement for their brand. Like, you know what I'm saying? Sure, it's not just a standalone movie. It's an advertisement for Mattel. So it was like, I think that they didn't touch on that because that's a whole other layer that would have had to go into it. You know, everybody was Barbie in Barbie Land. It don't matter if you short, you tall, you black, you white, you pregnant. Well, actually, no, they don't talk about the pregnant lady. But you, like, you know, everybody was Barbie. But I feel like it definitely would have pulled me in if they would have talked more about desirability, because I'm like, okay, like that is like my experience as a woman. Like I mean, I didn't really want to get all the way into that for sure, because it was like, I don't know, it just opens up a whole nother conversation. But like, I feel like I connected to like the mother-daughter stuff and and like I said, the kin storyline, you know what I'm saying? But there was something about, we're all women, but it was still something about like everybody's experience is the same, which is not, which was kind of fucked up to me. Like, especially, it was just kind of fucked up to me, because I feel like it's pushing a sort of like agenda like that I just don't necessarily think that should be. But even making Issa President Barbie was a symbol, like, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, like, what are we without like these symbols, like, you know? So it was like, I don't know, I wish we sort of touched on desirability a lot more, and I feel like they had a good opportunity to do it, but they just didn't.
Exactly. Like when Barbie, I think the biggest time when I was like, okay, this doesn't apply to me, is when Barbie went into the real world, and those scenes when she was in the world, how she got catcalled a lot. I'm not getting catcalled a lot. I'm not. It's not happening. I mean, I do get catcalled sometimes, but I'm not getting catcalled all the time. When she got out of jail twice, baby, I'm a black woman. They locking my ass up. They won't let me out.
Right. when they was like, even when she came into the office and they were like, Barbie, okay, and they were just so nice to her, and so like, you know, even though they were, it was still like this sort of like general sweetness, and you know, and I feel like the way that problem could have been fixed is if they made, not fixed, but like if they made the person, the host of the Barbie, kind of they're like they're the real world sort of acknowledge that, you know. So because I think seeing her go through that sort of like showed us, okay, that's not us, right? You know. But if they would have gave us a little experience of what it actually is. So if American Ferrera's, I meant to look up, is she, we can cut this out. Is she like Puerto Rican?
I think she's Hispanic, but I don't know what Latin background she is. She's Hispanic though, for sure.
But either way, if they would have focused the real world on, okay, we're going to show intersectionality here.
Exactly.
That would have been a strong movie. We're not talking about racism here because it's Barbie Land. We're not talking about desirability because we're Barbie Land. You know what I'm saying? But then when you step out to the real world, like, this is what's really happening, you know? So I feel like if they would have even gave the host of the Barbie even a little bit of identity outside of, you know, I'm a woman. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so, like, it would have been strong.
Yes. I also think they could have just had more than one Barbie leave Barbie Land. Like, if the president would have left.
Yeah.
If the scientist would have left.
Person. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If I don't know who the thicker Barbie was. Like, if they all would have left and then all had, like, you seen a montage of each individual experience, I feel like that could have just shown.
It could have.
What goes on. But then also, too, they would have had to kind of show that when Ken brought back patriarchy. And they probably wouldn't want to do that, you know?
What you mean?
Like, because when Ken brought back patriarchy, like, they all had a man. They all was feeding and serving a man. Like, in reality, they wouldn't have all had a man. Like, some of the men would have been like, girl, you ugly. Like, you're big, or you're too dark, or you're
and they
too
could have did that.
Exactly. But that would have been too much for Barbie, for a kid's movie, though.
Yeah, but was it a kids movie? I don't necessarily think it was a kids movie. It was marketed to adults. Like, it was marketed.
I think it's like for everyone type.
But
of vibe.
when you're a movie for everyone, then you don't have, like, you know what I'm saying? Then you're not really. And that's my thing with movies for everyone, because if you're not specific, like, you know, then you end up with the same problem we're talking about, you know? So it's like, if you're trying to be for kids and adults, then like, what are you really for? Now, I think it was, because it was rated PG-13, so, like, I kind of think it was marketed more towards the adult, like, nostalgia, like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, kids can watch it, but, like, the adults, like, you understand it on a different level, you know what I'm saying? So, or not even, maybe kids understand it on the same level, honestly, but, like, you're just attached to it through memory. But yeah, I think they could have put it in there. And I think for a movie with that big of a marketing budget and, you know, that big of a budget, that big of a reach, is, I get sad that it didn't, but then I also understand why not, because it's like, you know, why would they? Like, you know? So, but it's just like, I wonder for the movies that do put that shit in there, like, would they have the same, like, reach, you know? So that just kind of what makes it what it makes me think about.
I don't think it would have got greenlit.
Right.
I don't think all that would have got greenlit.
Like,
because even when they were trying to touch on the ageism thing, like when she seen the old lady and stuff, they were trying to cut that part out. So I don't think it would have got greenlit for the budget. I don't know what the hell the budget was, but the budget was budgeting. Yeah, the budget was budgeting. They wouldn't have bet $100 million on something that also discusses racism and intersectionality and all that type of stuff. Like,
it's all about the money at the end of the day.
Yeah,
that's what.
Even when he was like, "Oh, we should do an ordinary Barbie," and he was like, "Nah," and it was like, "It's gonna sell." He was like, "Yeah."
It all comes down to the money, you know, but that's kind of to me, sort of the. I don't know, I guess the thing I'm trying to reconcile with as a filmmaker in terms of, like, okay, if it all comes down to the money, then, like, how do you really navigate that as, like, you know, like, how do you just navigate that without falling victim to it? So, and I think I wonder what Greta Gerwig. I haven't watched any of her interviews, but I wonder how she thinks Barbie came out. Like, you know, and I wonder if she's happy with the result, with the end result.
I don't think that we'll ever know if she was unhappy. We would never know. Maybe she'll do a memoir later back in the day, but she's not fumbling that bag. She said she wanted
a huge bag.
Yeah,
it's $1 billion bag. Like.
She said she want to be a blockbuster director. She about to be.
That was her original goal.
That's what she said her goal is. Now she's about to do Narnia. That's the next thing she got to direct. Wow. Yeah, I'm excited for that one.
Wow.
So, but when you want to be a blockbuster director, there's some things
you got to let go.
Yeah.
But it's like, are you willing to? And that goes back to what we were talking about in Nicola and Tyrone about, like, you know, when you got to go through the system, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, can you stay alive? Or do you always got to sacrifice something for the sake of survival, you know? So it's like,
stay alive, Greta, because I love you. I'll be mad if you get watered down too much over your career.
I can't think of no one that hasn't. Like, you know, can't think of no one that hasn't. So, but, I mean, yeah.
Overall, though, it was a good movie. I liked it. I did like Barbie. I'm not anti-Barbie. But it was a good movie.
Cool.
Have your... She said it was cool.
It was cool.
Oh, okay.
What were you saying?
I was crying, though. I was about to say, did your thoughts change on Barbie? But I guess not.
No, like, I don't think it changed. Like, I think that... Because I think that I've seen movies that have, like, I don't think it changed because I've seen movies affect me more personally. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I understand, like, I just feel like I've seen movies that have affected me more personally. And Barbie didn't necessarily affect me, but it did make me think about certain things. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it was fun to watch. Like, you know, so it was like, but I didn't cry, but I did feel emotional. Like, I did feel things. Like, it's not like I just was there, like, in just like an unfeeling shell. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I definitely feel things, but I don't think it pushed me to the point that I want to feel and that I expect to feel when I watch movies. So, yeah. I
don't know. I like Barbie. That's good.
That's
my story.
I feel like everybody has their different, like, you know, experiences with it. And it's like, I understand why. Like, maybe, I don't know. Like, it's just, I don't know what it is. But I think that, everybody. And you also love Greta Gerwig. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you love her hand in things, you know? So it's like, it makes sense. Like, I don't think it's a bad thing either way. Like, it was a good movie. It was fun, and it did make people feel. And that's what, like, movies supposed to do. So
right. At the end of the day, I'm a Barb. Also, though, I was, you know what? I'm not even going to say that, actually. I was finna talk about the song, the Barbie song.
Oh, what were you going to say?
I'm not going to say it. I don't need the Barbs.
Like it?
It was okay. I wish she would have went in more of a, like a pull up in a Tonka, like that type of vibe. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I wish she would have really went like, I'm a Barbie, like really got into it. You know, it was cool. It was a cool little song. I liked it. I'm a Barb. I'm a Barb, next y'all. Time. I'm a Barb. I'm a Barb. Well, that was the Barbie episode.
That was a good episode.
Yeah. Catch us next week. We're going to be talking about Earth Mama.
Earth Mama.
So watch Earth Mama. I know y'all probably haven't even heard the movie. Go look at the trailer. Watch Earth Mama because we coming back and we talking about Earth Mama next.
Yes. Okay, bye.